Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you my plasticine cars, what I have left in my collection over 4 years, and what models I currently have. Of course, there aren't many cars left in the collection. As you know, I destroy most of them, smashing them in crash tests, which turns out to be quite spectacular and interesting, but sometimes it's a bit sad to watch all of that. After all of this is specially made out of modeling clay, so that it can be smashed later and we can see the damage. I often spend a lot of time creating something, only to smash it to pieces in mere seconds. So, I keep some cars in the refrigerator. Yes, because these old models can't stand properly in the room. Over time they start to sag, the wheels become oval, the bottom sags, just like the hood and the roof. Back then I did everything simpler and differently than I do now. And now, the models I make can easily stand at room temperature, and nothing will happen to them. Well, only if, for example, you accidentally bump into them, they might get dented or fall on the floor and break. That's why it's better to keep such models in a safe place. First, I'll show you the old models, and then we'll gradually move on to the new ones, the latest cars that I've sculpted. The first model I'll show you is the 406 from the movie 2. I sculpted it 3 years ago from sculptural olive clay. Even back then, I was making cars based on blueprints, but that didn't help much. It still turned out crooked in places. Back then, that's exactly how I sculpted. I didn't have a lot of skills yet. The model turned out decent for that time. Back then, I just didn't highlight a lot of things, like the brake discs, the headlight optics, the radiator grille, and other details. But even back then, I made the car with working suspension. The wheels could turn, but it could barely move because the wheels wobbled and rubbed against the wheel arches. At that time, I just painted the car with a brush using glossy white paint. This method of painting is extremely incorrect, because the paint is applied unevenly and brush strokes are visible everywhere. Also, over time, the paint began to crack due to temperature changes in the plasticine, which affected the entire appearance. In the car, they highlighted the bottom differently than I do now. Everything is very modest, there are only the basic elements. The interior turned out to be pretty poor quality, and I make the windows from regular transparent plastic that I have left over from various boxes or packaging. And here is the engine in this one, which still looks pretty good even now. That's more or less how this model has been preserved over 3 years. The next model is the famous one from the movie Back to the Future, which I also sculpted 3 years ago, also made from sculpting clay. The model turned out very realistic and detailed. It has all these different elements, wires, hoses, parts, and so on. I crafted doors that open upwards, just like in the original. Inside the cabin, I highlighted all the elements to match the movie. The model turned out good, of course, but it's still made with the old level of quality. I'm thinking, maybe I should make a new one, higher quality and even more similar to the original. What do you think of that idea? Would you like me to make a new one? If so, write about it in the comments and leave a like. Next up is 34 from the movie Fast and Furious, which I also sculpted 3 years ago. I also made it out of sculpting clay, and it turned out to be much better quality. It's just that the side mirrors broke off during this time. I also painted the car with a brush. And here there's the same problem with cracked paint. The roof and the hood, you can see, have sagged a little. I made the interior just like it was in the movie, but the detailing and quality of execution aren't very good. The underside here is already well detailed, since there was a lot of information about it. And this is how I detailed the engine in this Skyline back then. Next is the Moskvich 2141 of Viktor Tsoi, the very one he crashed in. I made this model by numerous requests from subscribers. This model is already much higher in quality and detail. I painted it with a spray can this time. The paint turned out even and of higher quality. From now on, all the other models will also be painted with a spray can. I made this model from a different kind of clay, a very hard NSP. It's much harder than sculpting clay and holds its shape better. Now I make all the cars from NSP clay. I also made him a working chassis out of Lego parts, with the wheels attached to them from below. You can take a look at all of this. The car's interior is generally made quite well. There are also plaques of the Kino Group in the back. And this is what the engine looks like in this Moskvich. The model was not difficult to make because of its simple body shapes, and I sculpted this Moskvich 2 years ago. The next model that remains is the Toyota AE863N. Originally, I made it specifically for a crash test, which I later did with it, but during the crash test, it held up pretty well. The front and rear parts were intact, and after the crash test, it just sat on the shelf with the other wrecked cars. A year later, I chose to restore it. I tried to do it, and it seemed to turn out pretty well. I immediately painted it dark brown since I had that paint left over and needed to use it somewhere. You can see, of course, that it's damaged. The collision spots are noticeable, but considering the kind of damage it had, the restoration turned out well. The only thing is, I reinforced the wheels incorrectly, and over time they became oval because of the weight of the car and the soft wheel construction. I could try to straighten them, but I'm showing you how it is. So, of course, the wheels can be replaced, and it will keep standing on the shelf. Especially good. The traces of damage are visible on the bottom of the car. It wasn't easy to straighten them out, so some marks remain. Next in the collection is a model of Lightning McQueen. I tried very hard to make it high quality and accurate, and I think I managed to do it. I made the model for myself, because I really like this cartoon, cars and the whole universe. I wanted to have a collectible model of McQueen like this. That's why I made it myself with my own hands and showed it to you. How can you make this out of modeling clay? Creating the car body itself wasn't very difficult. The biggest challenge was the painting process, because you have to draw that lightning bolt, make the outline, add the letters and numbers, and all of that needs to be done evenly. I got stuck on the painting. But it was worth it. The result turned out great. The model itself came out looking very similar. It's like they took him straight out of the cartoon. There are also details of the engine and the underside of the car. Next is a very small car. This is a Volga 24 in scale. I wanted to try a small scale for modeling. This way, you can sculpt the car pretty quickly, and I made it in 4 days. At the same time, the car is very well detailed for such a small scale. There are separate details for the underbody, interior, trunk, and engine, and all 4 doors can open. Then there's another small car. This is a 350, also to scale. I also made it pretty quickly in 6 days. Usually I make regular 124 scale models in about 20 plus days lately. The model of this Nissan turned out to be very high quality and well detailed. The doors and hood also open here, and there's very good detailing on the underside. The only thing is, its wheels have sagged a bit because the rubber is thin and the construction was made incorrectly. When the car is on the table, it really gives the impression that it's a model, just upgraded and more detailed. There are also 2 more models. They are not part of the collection, but I will show them to you as well, while they are still intact. This is 34, which I sculpted 3 months ago, one of the latest models, and it turned out to be of very good quality. Initially, I designed the whole structure with the idea that it could be broken and the body parts could deform. So this model will soon go through a crash test, which is, of course, a real shame, because it turned out really great. RX Sem is the last model I made, and you can see the progress in sculpting cars from the first one I showed you. Here's how much better I've gotten at making cars out of modeling clay, to the point where now it's hard to tell them apart from store-bought or assembled scale models. The body of the Mazda is also designed to withstand damage and deformation. I'll break it apart soon as well, and then... I currently have 8 cars in my collection. While it's not a large number, I do possess them. Still, as you can see, I don't break all the cars, and some of them remain. In this video, I showed you all the cars that are still intact and remain in my collection. This was a kind of small big summary of 4 years of sculpting. I hope you found this video interesting, and if you want to see any particular car in more detail, all the links to the videos are in the description. That's all. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you're interested in my clay creations. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye everyone.